And now joining us from his constituency office in Sydney River, we're pleased to have the Member of Parliament for Cape Breton-Canso offering his viewpoint on this snowstorm. We're pleased to welcome back Mike Kelloway to Telile 24/7. Thank you, Mike, for giving us some time here today.
Anytime, Adam. Good to see you.
Well, first of all, you've been in your riding throughout the entire width and breadth of this once in a generation snowfall. Let's start just basically for what it's been like for you on the ground and for the people in your office getting these calls and hearing about what's going on and experiencing it yourself, I might add. So, can you give me a little bit of perspective from your part of Cape Breton-Canso, but also what you've been hearing from your constituents?
Absolutely. So, as you said, I've been home and working from home. It was Sunday night. I received a call from the Prime Minister wanting a bird's eye view on the ground of what was happening, and he pledged his support for anything that we need. And we had a really good conversation where I talked to him about the impact of the storm, in essence, from Pictou County right up to the CBRM. Some spots received a lot of snow. Some spots received a lot of snow. And we talked about the complications that were happening at that time. And I stayed in contact with the Prime Minister's office, had some numerous conversations with the Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Minister Sajan, who pledged his support. All the wardens, all the mayors and chiefs in my riding of Cape Breton, northeastern Nova Scotia, I've been in contact with multiple times, staying in contact. How it is looking on the ground is that it's slow in terms of the cleanup, but we're getting there. I've talked to several other media outlets about this, Adam. In Nova Scotia, in the past year and a half, we've experienced once in a lifetime floods, fires, floods, by the way, that cost lives, fires, hurricanes, and now, of course, this mammoth snowstorm. They're all connected in terms of climate change, and there is, I think, a collective anxiety when storms are being announced that are coming our way. But there's also a collective resolve. The people of Cape Breton, northeastern Nova Scotia, I've been watching. I'm proud on a given day to be from Cape Breton, northeastern Nova Scotia. I'm even more proud in terms of our response to weather events, disasters. We come together. I've seen PCWs, personal care workers, getting on skidoos to go to their seniors, clients. I've seen neighbor helping neighbor. I've seen stranger helping neighbor. It's amazing what happens when we're tested. And we've been tested this time. 150 centimeters of snow in the CBRM. And then, of course, Richmond County was blasted. Inverness County was blasted. Let's not forget Antigonish County and Pictou County. Lots of snow, lots of snow. But we're working closely on that. And I want to maybe, if I can, Adam, if you don't mind, to
Sure.
take our viewers into the process in terms of requesting federal assistance.
Yes,
So
we'd
think,
appreciate that very much.
yeah. So how it works is that a municipality. Let's take the municipality of uh, Richmond County. This is just an example. This is just an example. This didn't happen, but this is how the process would work. Richmond County would assess the municipality would assess a disaster or weather event, and they would go through a process by which they would reach out to their emergency preparedness office, emergency management office, EMO, which is provincial. The emergency management office, along with the minister, in this case, Minister Lohr and his ministry provincially, would assess the request. They would look at what is the need. Then they would look to see what they would do and can do provincially. Then they would make a request, if they think it's necessary, called the RFA, and that's a request for federal assistance. And it's based on need. So it's like we have so many ridges down, we have so many this down, this down. Then there's a negotiation process by which the federal government says, we're okay, we can do X, Y, and Z. Now, in this case, a federal request for assistance from the CBRM went to the province, and the province then came to us. And we said we can provide heavy snow equipment from the Cape Breton Highlands National Park. We can provide air transport capabilities vis-a-vis the Canadian Coast Guard and 200 cadets, Coast Guard College, the cadets that could help in the cleanup efforts. And we can look to streamline public service and procurement services from a federal perspective to work with the same group provincially to streamline services so we can be able to perhaps put tenders out very, very quickly or forego tenders and reach out to the public sector in terms of plows and snow removal equipment. So that's how it goes. Now, EMO, that's provincial, calls the plays. They call the plays on the ground. They say there's a need here, here, and here. And then the federal government follows their lead in terms of the resources they've already committed. So that's how it happens. The federal government just doesn't provide services without that process working from the bottom up. And then we take our cues from the province. The province calls the plays in terms of where the resources are best utilized. And that's kind of where we are now. We have, I think, strong support on the ground. It's slow. I know people are frustrated, and I know patience is at a premium, but people are doing everything they can from a municipal standpoint, a provincial standpoint, and a federal standpoint. We also have a group on the ground, Adam, called Team Rubicon, and it's a group that we often work with during times of crisis. And they're a specialized group that are made. It's comprised of veterans from the armed forces, and I met these folks during Fiona. Impressive, unbelievable, and they're on the ground too. So everybody's working together. That's a bit of the process. Hope it's pretty clear. Municipal goes to the province. Province makes a request to us. We do our best to fulfill it. We turned the request around in hours from the province to get these resources committed, but it's the province that calls the plays. And it's the province in consultation and collaboration with the municipality, and we're there to provide our resources as requested.
Now, Mike, from our vantage point in the Strait area, we are seeing that some requests have gone forward from the municipality of Richmond County to the provincial EMO to deal with a number of areas that have been problem areas in terms of road clearing, in terms of getting driveways cleared out, just basically reconnecting people to their communities. Have you or your office been hearing specifically from Richmond County, from the municipality, or even from constituents there looking for help? What's been the perspective there?
I had a great conversation with Warden Mummerket early on as a check-in. She gave me a status report at that time. Haven't heard anything since in relation to an update other than the things that you mentioned around key arteries needing to be cleaned up and some people to get out of their homes for health purposes. But we're the texts and the emails and the phones are there. In terms of response from the constituents in Richmond, we've had some calls and in terms of the very thing that you just mentioned, talking about federal response and the process by which things can get cooking, and so people wanting to know the process, but also people just needing help. So we circle back to the municipality and the province to say we're getting these calls from X, Y, and Z on X, Y, and Z street. They need assistance. They need help, and my office has kind of had a bit of a triage. It's a triage office now, taking these calls from Richmond County and Guysborough County, making sure that nobody falls through the cracks. Because my job and my office's job it's a leadership position, but it's also connecting the dots office, making sure that if we get a call, but we can't service a person's need, that we make sure that the local representation and the local authorities have that. And we've been nonstop since last Friday.
Now, you made the point earlier as well, Mike, that it's not a matter that this is simply a CBRM centric storm, that
No,
the fallout is happening in Richmond County. It is happening
it is.
in Inverness, basically all over your riding. There's still parts of Antigonish County and Guysborough County that are still snowbound to this day. What is it like for you as the member of parliament to look at this riding that we've talked about the size and the enormity of the riding in the past, but to see that nearly everybody here has been impacted by this storm. What has that been like for you personally?
Well, sadly, I'm getting used to um, working within a framework of disasters. And what it's like for me personally is, you feel for people. This is why I got into politics, is to help people. And in times like this, you want to help people right away. And because of the nature of these storms, you can't help people right away as fast as you want. So there's a bit of frustration on my part because I want to try to facilitate cleanups in a day. Well, that's not realistic. So I feel for people. I feel for the grandmother that may be stuck in her home, that is going to have a difficult time to get medication or her medication filled. I feel for the young people. I feel for the first responders. My God, the first responders. There's people in the Port Hawk Strait Area Hospital, nurses, support staff that were there for days, and they were because they couldn't get home, but they also know they couldn't leave because they needed to be there. So you feel for people, but you also know that the reality is um, we're seeing more and more events like this, and it is because of climate change. Now, people might say, well, it's snow, it's not global warming. As we know, the atmosphere maintain, as the temperature rises, the atmosphere maintains a lot of moisture as a result. And if you go onto any weather network site or any reputable site on the internet, they'll talk to you about the fact that this storm is driven by climate change. So people in Cape Breton-Canso don't need to be told that we're in a climate crisis. We're living it. But now we need to adapt to that and we need to mitigate that. And that's why I'm proud that we've passed several laws around disaster mitigation and responses to address these things the best way we can. But we are now veterans of the natural disasters within an 18-month period. Think about it, Adam. Think about your viewers now. In 18 months, fires, floods, snow, rain, um, unprecedented. It's not by chance. It's not by luck. It's because climate change and a climate crisis is absolutely focused on Nova Scotia, and in particular, Cape Breton and northeastern Nova Scotia.
I want to circle back to a comment you made early in the conversation, Mike. Your discussion about getting that call from the Prime Minister and being able to outline things as well for the Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Harjit Sajjan, who was the Minister of Defense and, of course,
Mm-hmm.
was key in Canada's military before that time.
It was.
What perspective do you think each of these men bring to this conversation? And do you feel they understand the enormity of what's happening here in Cape Breton-Canso?
Both do tremendously. Um, the Prime Minister has a great affinity for Nova Scotia, as his dad did. And there were many times that Mr. Trudeau, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, visited our own Alan J. There's a strong connection to northeastern Nova Scotia and Cape Breton with the Trudeau family and Cape Breton and northeastern Nova Scotia. And there's a lot of things that I'll share with you in that conversation. The Prime Minister talked about just the community and the community response that people in Cape Breton and northeastern Nova Scotia illustrate each time there is a disaster, a situation that requires people to work together. He commented on that particular and in particular, and I found that very interesting. And he was right out of the gate asking, "How are you doing? How are your constituents doing? How are the people doing?" And that was Sunday night, and so we were all still in the middle of that storm, two storms. And I appreciated the empathy, but the commitment to say, what do you need? And Minister Sajjan is working with Minister Lohr on getting whatever is needed on the ground. And that's, to me, take the labels of parties, the colors that represent the labels of parties. At the end of the day, leadership is many things. but leadership is also about empathy and action. Empathy and action. And I appreciate it that the Prime Minister illustrated both to me on that call. Minister Sajjan, what an amazing guy. What an amazing guy. He was up I pretty much the entire night on Sunday, dealing with a lot of things in relation to what could be the federal response at that time because we were waiting for the province to submit their request for federal assistance. He gets a call at 12 o'clock from the province. He answers the phone. He's not in bed. He answers the phone. He also is a veteran of Afghanistan. So he understands a lot about strategy and tactics, planning and execution. I'm so impressed with him. And again, empathetic. What a soft-spoken man, too. If you get a chance to watch Question Period, he's very soft-spoken, but the man has a pedigree as a former minister of the armed forces, as a member of the armed forces, and now here he brings perspective and that not a lot of people would because of his background. And he's been updating me on the phone before Question Period, after Question Period. And I appreciate that because I'm not in Ottawa. I'm here. But in many ways, I'm glad I'm here. As I was during Fiona, I get my hands dirty later on today or tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can get out of my driveway and out of my off my street to say thank you to people that are out there working, not to get in their way, not for a photo op of none of that. Just to say thank you to some folks that are out there, like Team Rubicon, like the cadets, and for every single person that's watching in my riding, in our riding, that are just doing little things for your neighbor, doing a few things for a senior, someone in need. I have a guy on my street. His name is Vince. Vince has a day job. Vince also has a tractor. Vince has been going up and down our street, just clearing people's driveways to get them out. No one asked him to do it. He's just doing it. That's leadership.
I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot more of these types of stories as time goes on and as we continue to work at digging out of this storm. So, just for clarification, you are still in your home office. Your own driveway hasn't been cleared yet.
No, well, I'll tell you this. Funny story. It wasn't funny at the time.
No, it never is.
Between you and me and your viewers, my snow blower died last Friday. It just died. And I invented a lot of new curse words as a result of it. So from about Friday up until about yesterday, I've been shoveling the driveway because it's a long driveway. And I finally got to the end of the driveway. Our street has been plowed, but the men and women that are out there plowing, many of them can only do like one strip. They can't do it. Like it's basically one-way traffic. So I think I can get out today. I'm hoping I can. But to the men and the women in every municipality, in the town of Mulgrave, in the town of Port Hawkesbury, in the First Nations communities in the riding, Wakaba, Butlatek, Buckankeg, that are working on the ground to clear the snow, a huge thanks. And the provincial folks, huge thanks. And for the federal folks, amazing. But it's going to take some time. But everyone just, keep doing what you're doing. I know it's frustrating because we want to get back to, everyday life. And we will. But know that everyone is working as hard as they can to clean things up. And also for the first responders out there, whoa, amazing. Just amazing. But we'll get through this as we always do. And we'll get the resources there that are needed to help. And but I have a great appreciation for the Prime Minister, Minister Sajjan, who just said, we're waiting for the province And once we do, we'll turn things around quickly. And they turned it around probably in about 6 hours in terms of the paperwork.
Obviously, this is an ongoing story, as you mentioned. It will be for quite a few days more. And in the middle of all this, Mike Kelloway, as you're trying to get out of your own driveway, we appreciate you giving us some time and some perspective here on Telile 24/7 today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.
Mike Kelloway is the Member of Parliament for Cape Breton-Canso. We have been speaking to him at his still snowed in home constituency office in Sydney River.